Welcome, everybody. My name is Pete Parker. This is Pathways to Aviation's first workshop in the 2022 calendar year. As you know, last year we hosted workshops on a weekly basis, and it was amazing. We brought in speakers from all over the country into your laptop or your phone or your PC. This year we switched things up. We're now doing it on a quarterly basis. In the meantime, on a monthly basis, we're hosting office hours. So you can come into Pathways and ask questions about your career readiness, how to write a resume, how to network, interview, all that stuff. But each quarter, so starting today, and then our next one is in May, we're hosting workshops where we're going to host them on site, on location at different businesses or airports and bring it to a Zoom format as we have in the past. It's our way of getting back to normal. But before we start the show, let me tell you a little bit about Pathways to Aviation, because about 95% of the people on this show have never heard of Pathways to Aviation. So Pathways to Aviation is born and raised in Reno, Nevada. And our whole mission is to prepare young people to pursue careers in aviation. And if you don't actually end up in aviation, that's okay. But I guarantee you that your passion, what you want to do in your career, you can easily do in the aviation and aerospace industry. So to consider aviation as an opportunity for you to pursue your career. Plus, as you look around the room, the salaries are quite nice. And you can ask everybody about the salaries. So we encourage you to pursue aviation as a career option. What we do is when we help the students, we help high school, college students, active job seekers, anybody interested in getting a job in aviation. We don't teach them the hard skills, like how to design the aircraft, how to fly it, how to maintain it, how to work on the engine, all that. We don't do that. We have specialists. We have specialists in the room who will teach you how to do that. What we do is we provide the career readiness skills for you to prepare yourself for that job interview and succeed in that interview and then succeed in the workplace. So we talk to you a lot about identifying your skills, writing resumes, building LinkedIn profiles, networking, your elevator pitch, interviewing, all that stuff. And we dive so deeply into each of those steps that by the time that you have gone through the entire process with us, you are shining. You're shining far greater than your counterpart, who at this point, when you're in the job search process, is a competitor. We want you to stand out. So having these workshops is one step ahead, because we bring in speakers who have knowledge. And they don't just have knowledge, they represent amazing companies. Those amazing companies are always looking for great talent. They may not be looking to fill specific roles now, but they're definitely looking because they want to make sure that their next hire is the right hire. So here's a new format. We have an exciting announcement at the end of the show. A bonus this year, we're awarding scholarships to any applicant who, raises the eye of our selection committee to receive financial assistance. Our hope is that that financial assistance is used to further their knowledge, whether it's obtaining pilot's license, it's getting your A&P, it's attending a camp, it's anything to do with furthering your knowledge and to pursue your career. So with that, since I'm in charge of the Zoom land, I'm going to turn it over to Joe, who's going to take the show from here out to Atlantic Aviation in beautiful Reno, Nevada, where he is going to facilitate our presenters. We're going to go for, 30 minutes or so, Joe. There's an opportunity to ask questions. So if you're live in the room, write those questions down and save them, because Joe's going to have a few questions for our panelists. If you're on Zoom, just stick them in chat and I'll interface with Joe to make sure that your question is asked. If I don't do it, I may even ask you to ask the question. At that point, when it's done, Joe's going to take everybody on a tour of Atlantic Aviation. If you're on Zoom, stay, because we want you to be participating in the tour as well. And then we'll reassemble and announce those awards. So Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to mute out and the show is yours.
Thanks, Pete. We're here live at Atlantic Aviation in Reno, Nevada. We're at the Reno Tahoe International Airport. We have people with us today who you possibly can't see. They're at the Zoom meeting, but we have 8 students here, job seekers, potentially very soon, and they're here live to listen in to our panelists. So I'm going to introduce the panelists today. We're going to start out with Jen here on the right. Jen is a owner of a flight school here at the Reno Tahoe Airport, and she has quite a varied career in aviation, and I'm going to let her take it.
Sure, just talk more about ladies. So yes, I own Basin Aviation flight school here in Reno, Nevada. I got into aviation about 5-6 years ago, wanted to get my private pilot and just have fun with flying. But there's something that just kept drawing me to this industry that I knew I didn't want to be a career pilot. I just wanted to be in aviation. So kind of one of those right place, right time things. I was able to take over a flight school that a family was wanting to sell. And from there, started bringing people in and getting them going on flying. So in my role, I manage, I should start, I'm kind of, I love regulation, which I know sounds weird. I come from a banking background, so I wanted to stay in something that was super detailed. And that's another reason why aviation, I was drawn to it. So in this role, I manage day-to-day operations of the business. So it is a small business, but also the regulations that we need to abide with for the Federal Aviation Administration. There's a lot that goes into owning airplanes, and I'm sure Tom can probably add to this, but we do a lot of our own preventative maintenance. So there's the mechanic side of it where we do some simple remove and replace, oil changes, tire changes, lights, lots of fun stuff. I hire my employees. So I have 12 instructors that teach students like you guys how to fly. Anywhere from private pilot up to teaching other instructors to become instructors. I also have office staff, line staff, and then we also have interns. We ramp that up a little more in the summer. A lot of sales. So when you are an entrepreneur, you need to get yourself out there to bring the business in. So we do some outreach in the community in some of the high schools with some of the ROTC programs, and then also some of the elementary schools to get kids excited about a career in aviation, especially if it's a first generation aviator. Budget, keep the books, that's kind of the boring stuff. I won't go into all that with you guys, but there's the fun part, but yeah, we still gotta do like the adult stuff that is not the fun part, but gotta do it to keep the business going. I also teach private pilot ground school, and I can, you know, as we're going through questions, I'm sure something might come up about how to become a pilot, but you've got to do a ground school part of it and the flying. So kind of like owning a business, it's not always fun. You got to do the flying part, which is the awesome part, right? But you also have to stick to the books. So I teach that class as well. And then I'm in the Navy Reserve, and I work on P3s. It's an older aircraft. They'll be all decommissioned by the time you guys go in, if that's the route you're going to take. But I'm a structural mechanic on those aircraft. So that's a little bit about my business. It's every day something new and something fun, but it's great when our students go through their check ride, which is their final test to get their certificate of rating, and you can celebrate with them and just let them see it really was all worth it. It really doesn't take much to get to a point where you can start making money in aviation. So you're not making 6 figures right in the beginning, but that definitely is someplace that this career can take you.
Thanks, Jen. So I was listening to what you do, and one thing stuck out, and that is you said you do have some interns.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us what positions, what would the intern be doing, and what are you looking for in that intern?
Yes, so our interns, it's kind of a little bit of everything. So there's some who like to work out on the line, which, you know, being we are an international airport, I can only have so many bodies moving around up there because we do have to control you a little bit to make sure you're not running out on the runway or something. But the interns outside, they'll help wash planes. Again, it's not glamorous as an intern. Wash planes, you know, as the planes are coming in and out, make sure they're parking in the right spot, making sure, you know, certain lights and things are shut off. In the office, they help with filing, answering phones, putting packets together. Really, it's kind of a gopher job. You kind of just do whatever other duties as assigned, I think is the perfect way to put it. But it does all evolve around aviation. Some of the interns will ride backseat every once in a while on a flight just to kind of get that experience, or we can get them in the front seat if we're doing a maintenance flight or something like that. But it is something that ramps up more in the summer, which is really our busy season.
Oh, that sounds like a great perk for an intern to be able to actually get a flight in an airplane, even if sitting in the back. Sounds
Yes.
wonderful. So if you were going to hire somebody, what kind of skills or what kind of traits would our job seekers online, what would you see for them to do to prepare for a job with you?
And so I'm going to go over a couple of the different jobs that I have. All the jobs are important, but we have the flight instructors who have to have certain certificates and ratings to be eligible for that job. So that is probably the most popular job to get once you can start, once you're a commercial pilot. Commercial pilot, I think we think commercial means we're flying for Southwest or United or something, but that's not the case. A commercial pilot is a pilot that only has about 250 hours. And that's, once you get those certificates, you can make yourself eligible to the job market. The flight instructor is the most common one to do first. And for those applicants, I look for someone who can create conversation with other people, because you're in these small planes with student pilots for a long time, and you want to make sure you can build a relationship with them and that they want to come back to you. I look for someone who can sit shoulder to shoulder with someone. So we fly tiny little Cessna 172s, and even if you're the smallest person, you're rubbing shoulders, thighs, whatever it might be, you know what your instructor had for breakfast. So we want to make sure, it's somebody you want to sit next to for a while. Obviously, skills, make sure they're safe pilots. Safety is our #1 goal. So we take them out, take them flying, make sure they're safe. Make sure they have the know-how, if something happens in the aircraft, they know the right procedures to get that plane and the students and themselves safely back on the ground. And just someone that we want to be around. Again, it's all about building relationships and keeping people excited about this big path they're on and keeping them enthusiastic and positive, because there are a lot of up and downs and emotions as you're learning that private pilot, which is your first certificate. So we want to make sure they've got that cheerleader mentality to an extent to keep the students going. And then for the line, the office interns, it's probably going to sound a little cookie cutter, but hardworking, like sees a need and goes after it. Again, can build relationships with our students and our clients and the other staff, and is willing to take direction and willing to get a little dirty out there in these airplanes.
No, that's good. So Jen, I have one more question.
Sure.
So is a flight instructor a full-time, part-time job, or either?
Right now, it's full-time, and I pulled some stats, sorry, I'm kind of geeky like that, but Boeing is saying in the next 20 years, they're going to need 600,000 more commercial pilots worldwide. And when I pulled the stats of what we currently have in the US, we only, which, because it seems like a small number to me, have about 735,000, but of that, only about 104 are commercial pilots. So they're saying they need 600,000 more commercial pilots worldwide. So that is a huge increase in pilots. So this is definitely a career path that is on fire if you guys are interested in it. Forgot the question, Joe.
Full-time.
Yes, full-time. So thank you. So right now, full-time flight instructors are needed because there's so many people that are getting into flight training. It can be done part-time. I have some part-time instructors, but to get students through at a certain pace, full-time is really the need that's out there.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for your everything. Next, we're going to hear from the actual people who run this location. It's called an FBO, Flight Fixed Base Operation. And Mike is the person who is the general manager, GM. That's your term.
That's the term.
And Bernie sitting next to him is his right-hand operations person.
Yep.
And Kaylee runs the front office. Is that right?
Correct. We got my operations manager, Bernie, and Kaylee's the customer service manager.
Wonderful. So let's hear what goes on at an FBO and what kind of employees do you need? What jobs are available here?
Absolutely. It's a fantastic industry. Being on the FBO side, I come from both. I've done the commercial side and obviously the FBO side. For me personally, I love this side. Every day is different. One day you could have 4 aircraft and all of a sudden you start getting requests and you could end up by the end of the day having 20, 25, 30 aircraft. So you never quite know what you're gonna get. A little different obviously than the airline side, commercial side, where it's pretty much a set schedule. So unless there's any diverts, things of that nature, pretty much every day is routine. Here, as far as the positions we offer starting out, we have our line service technicians and our customer service reps. Our line service technicians obviously are doing everything. Fueling aircraft, obviously, towing aircraft, which you get certified for after you start. Usually takes about 6 months or so. We get you obviously do full training, so no experience is required. If you have a passion for the industry, we'll do all the training. So no experience necessary, which is nice. Just have a passion for the business. We do lab service, potable water. We get a lot of charters here. For us, we have the military contract. So C-17s, C-130s. We did Air Force One twice this past year when President Trump had come in doing some rally events. And that's just an unbelievable experience, regardless of political views, just to be a part of something like that. Not many people get to experience something like that. And in this industry, the team just ate it up and they did a phenomenal job. So that's really on the line end what you do. It's a challenge because you're out there working in the elements. So if you're someone that's not a fan of the heat or not a fan of the snow, it might not be the position for you. But if you love being around aircraft, if you love networking with flight crews and customers, it's definitely a great end. It's definitely a great way to be exposed and see all facets of aviation and what it offers. And then Kaylee's obviously responsible for our customer service side of the business, which you have got to be on your toes. You are multitasking and multitasking. You got the phones going. You have flight crews standing right in front of you that need their services. Emails you're sending out. It can be pretty crazy at times. We have a great support team. Obviously, we all work together. You can't do it without teamwork. That's what we preach the most: honesty, respect, integrity. We're always going to have your back to the leadership team. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. We always have the open door policy, and we have a really great team here. Atlantic as a whole is just a phenomenal company. We have 95 bases now across the country after just one acquisition we had and another merger. So we're everywhere. Sky's the limit as to what you can do. I mean, we have LSTs that are now GMs, regional directors, senior vice presidents. So it's all what you put into it. But I can tell you, from my standpoint, my background, I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona. My dad was an airline pilot, so that's how I got the bug for aviation. I got out of the industry for about 14 years. Wanted to up my management skills and all that good stuff, and had a very successful career for 15 years with the company, but always had that bug, always had that itch to get back into aviation, because once you're in it, it's always in your mind. And the opportunity here at Atlantic as the general manager presented itself, and out from Florida and here to Reno I came, and never looked back. It's been probably one of the best decisions I've made in my career path. So you all sound like you have, a lot of drive, great industries you all want to get into. Aviation is a very technical industry, so there are a lot of wonderful avenues you can take in this industry. So stick with it. If you have any questions or if you ever want to learn more, we're always here. Come by, hang out. We'd be happy to show you around. We'd be happy to just give you any type of advice we can to help you along your path.
Mike, could you explain to the listeners exactly how is an FBO different from an airline terminal?
Airline wise, it's just, basically you're not doing fueling. If you're a ramp agent, obviously on the commercial side, you're basically loading, unloading aircraft, doing labs. Usually that fueling is outsourced to another company. There's so many facets again in the aviation industry. So, and again, it's more of a set schedule with the airlines. Here, you're not going to be exposed to all the different type of aircraft that you are obviously here versus the commercial side. And again, you're not fueling over there. You're towing aircraft, but you're usually just doing pushback away from the gate, maybe moving aircraft off of the gate. But here, you're actually moving aircraft all over the ramp and in hangars. And that can be very stressful. That takes a lot of concentration, a lot of communication, and a lot of teamwork, because the last thing you want to do is damage an aircraft. So it takes a lot of coordination, a lot of teamwork, and our team does it exceptionally well. But it's always a gratifying feeling. You know, it never gets old. It never gets old. Every day is a new challenge. Every day is different, and that's what, again, the FBO side has versus the commercial side.
Okay. So Mike, you mentioned that you do all the training. So what would our listeners be wanting to do to prepare themselves to look like a good candidate for you?
For me, when we do the interviews, and Bernie oversees all the training as far as certifications, things of that nature. When we're interviewing, I think the biggest thing is research the company that you're going to go interview for. I think that's where a lot of misses are, is that, you know, it's first thing, how did you hear about the position? Oh, I just saw it. Okay. What do you know about Atlantic Aviation? Oh, I don't know. Honestly, when you go to an interview, have just a familiarity of what that company does, of what that business is. That's going to go a long way. That right there, boom, that gets us started. Like, okay, hey, someone's obviously really interested. You know, they've done the homework. They're really interested in this company. Great. Confidence, you know, be confident in yourself. You know, if you're looking down, not making eye contact, things of that nature, it kind of just shows that, hey, you know, just kind of going with the motions. You know, we're a team. We want everyone to be working together because it is so important safety-wise. That's what we preach: safety, safety, safety. And in order to be effective in that, we've got to be able to communicate. So that's another thing that we look for. It's just, you know, can you have dialogue? Can you have the conversation? And again, we'll just ask some questions just about your background. Again, no experience is necessary in the customer service or line service position. We will train you. You will get excellent training, both online and in the field. We don't just throw you out there and say, hey, have at it. Definitely not that type of industry. So again, if you just have that passion for it, odds are great that, you know, you can get your foot in the door. And again, sky's the limit, no matter what avenue of the business you want to go into.
Okay. So right now, do you have any openings?
We do. We actually have one line service position open and one customer service rep position open at this time.
Okay. What are there any minimum qualifications? Is there an age minimum?
18 years old is just the only limitation that we have. 18 years old.
So if a person had a college degree, would that be a benefit or not necessary for that position?
It, you know, for this position, it always helps. Having a degree always helps. Is it going to be the one and only thing we look for? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, it's more when we're talking these positions, do you have a passion to get into business? Do you know about us? Are you excited?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or is it just, I need a job?
Right.
And we'll get that out of you through the questions that we ask. And we've done it so much that we pretty much know by the end of the interview if this candidate is truly interested or if it's just, hey, I saw it and yeah, I'll give it a go. So that's what I would say.
So what are the opportunities for somebody who, let's say, is in a different part of the country? Could they interview here and maybe move back to their home if they wanted to work here for a couple of years and then move to a different Atlantic Aviation?
Absolutely, absolutely. If there's promotions available or if you just want to do a lateral move, we've had it happen several times. It happens all across our network. So that's always an option. We have an internal posting list. So jobs will be posted before obviously they make it out into the public. So it gives everyone that's internal an opportunity to put in for it and go through the interview process. But it's definitely out there. You can go wherever there's an Atlantic base, you can always put in for it internal.
Okay. Bernie, did you have anything to add?
Well, to expand on that point, I started working in Cleveland and 13 years on the line, and then I moved into management, and now I'm out here. So once again, the opportunities in aviation, and particularly Atlantic, are huge. You put in the work and you know, do the things that you need to do, and you're going to get recognized. You know, Mike and I and Kaylee talk about all the time about all of our folks and, you know, who's doing well, who needs a little bit of help, who's, you know, hey, this person could be X in the future. So we're always looking out for talent. And I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we look for in interviews and things like that. That is talent, ability to need to want to move up in a company is our big things.
Okay. Kaylee, how did you get your position? What is your history?
Yeah, so I graduated with my Bachelor's of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies from Liberty University. So I studied three areas. I was biology, statistics, and aviation. I used to want to be a nurse, and then I grew up around the Reno air races, and I just loved it ever since I was a little girl. And so I decided I wanted to go into the aviation industry. I found Atlantic, and I finished my degree with aviation statistics and biology. The statistics was from biology as well. And with my aviation courses, I learned about aviation safety, aviation law, things like that, which was super fun. I did ground school through my degree as well. And I applied for the customer service representative position here. And it really got me into aviation. I absolutely loved it. And eventually I got promoted up to the customer service management position, and I hope to keep growing with this company. I didn't know what an FBO was, honestly, until I got into here. And like, to be honest, until I walked in, and you know, it's a great area of aviation to get into, and even just to get your foot in the door for aviation and being in that business. And now I hope to keep growing with the company. I plan on going to master's school for business analytics and stay within the aviation industry, and specifically with Atlantic. But yeah, that's kind of where I started. To be, you know, a customer service representative, you know, no experience is necessary. This is a great job to honestly really get yourself into aviation. For example, I have two customer service representatives that actually are going to Great Basin Aviation, earning their licenses, line service technicians too. And they just love talking with our pilots and all of our customers and even the mechanics and stuff. And so it's a great way to kind of get into that world. And I know sometimes, you know, it's not as publicized, the FBO business, but I really honestly, you know, the amount of experience I've gotten in aviation is just incredible here. So,
Great, thank you.
yeah.
Pete, do you have any questions from anybody who is on the Zoom call?
Nope, move on and I'll ask them to put it in there and then we'll ask at the end.
Okay, do we have any questions from the job seekers here in the room?
Yeah, I have quite a few. All right, I'll just go by this. So first, start off with Jen. What were your steps to becoming an owner of your flight school? Sorry, can't see you there.
Oh, there.
So, what made you want to go into it and pursue that?
Oh, it's a long story. So,
We have 3 minutes.
yeah.
All right.
You know, I like taking on a challenge, if you will, and it really was one of those things. It was the right place, the right time. I asked the right questions. The opportunity presented itself, and that's one thing. If you're looking at starting a business, just make sure that you have the backing to go in and strike when that iron is hot, so you can get into the business you want to. There's a lot of things I didn't know getting into it that I've learned along the way, but it's first you got to realize like you're going to take that risk to be self-employed, because it is a risk. You don't have the security that you've got this monthly paycheck and healthcare and all these things that you guys don't have to worry about yet, soon will. So you've got to be a risk taker, and that was the hardest thing for me to get over, was taking that first step, jumping off the cliff. But once you do it, you just see how things will unravel in the greatest ways. But you got to put work into it. I am seriously here every day almost. And you've got to be willing to do that. So, you know, work hard at it for a few years, and then hopefully that's out for you. And I'm sorry, I get off on tangents, so that didn't answer your question. But it was just, you know, the opportunity presented itself, and I was in a position where I could go after it.
Yeah, nice. I think you enjoy what you do when you pursue this, so that's nice. I don't know. But another one for Mike. Biggest part of FBO that you look for in your internships. That's my question. So like, biggest part of what you see in others that you look for, and just like, who am I looking at, Mike? So So yeah,
So the biggest part of what I look for in a candidate?
yeah,
Or-
and a candidate, that's what I should specify.
No, absolutely. You know, it's really, again, doing some research on us, knowing who we are, what we do, just having a familiarity of it. You don't have to be an expert and know who our CEO is or anything like that. But just have a general familiarity of who we are and what you're applying for. You know, because it's all posted, it's a description of, you know, what the job entails, qualifications, so on and so forth. So it's really looking at those. So if we were to ask you, you know, something about the position, you know, to say, oh yeah, I read about that, or, you know, or you may have a question already about it, like, hey, I saw, you know, read this, or that you're looking for this qualification. It shows us that, hey, they really have a genuine interest and really want to be here. Again, and it's just how you present yourself. You know, confidence is a huge thing. It goes a long way. We all get nervous in interviews. It happens. You know, as you go through it in life, you never really even get more comfortable. Some do, some don't. You know, we're all different, but you know, if you show confidence in it, ask questions. That's another big one. A lot of times, you know, it's what questions do you have for us? You know, now you put us as the interviewers on the hot seat. I love when candidates ask questions. You know, like, hey, how did you get to where you are? You know, does the company offer benefits? Similar to what Joe was saying, you know, how can I transfer internally if I were to, you know, change in plans and I moved here or went there, or, you know, promotion saved, just things like that. Just ask some questions that, you know, the interviewers want to hear. They actually want to hear from you. Again, it shows that interest. It shows that drive to want to be with the company and in that industry.
All right, thank you. I like that. And real quick for Kaylee.
Yeah.
All right. Biggest perk of Atlantic and things that you like about the company.
Yeah, so I think the biggest perk of Atlantic is our culture and our working culture. Here at Atlantic, we are seriously like one big family. The amount of support that you get here is incredible, and we always like to stand out. So, you know, we have a huge rapport around the country. And I think our customer service really, really stands out on that. But what really, you know, kept me here and wanting to pursue my career here is the culture that we have. I think that's a big, big thing to look out for when you're applying for companies and everything. Because, you know, it's going to be part of your career, and you're going to be, you know, you spend 5 days out of the week when you're working full time at that place. And so, you know, culture is a big part of that. And just even the team too. We have an incredible team here, and it's, you know, I enjoy coming to work, and it's so fun to come to work, and you learn something new every day, and super fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Joe, can I ask her a question real quick?
Of course.
All right. And you'll understand why I'm asking this. How long were you a CSR with us before you got promoted to customer service manager?
I was 8 months a CSR.
8 months. That's impressive. And, you know, I'm the one that promoted her, obviously, because I saw something. You know, Kaylee knocked herself out to be successful. And that goes to, you know, what we've been talking about this whole time. It's what you put into it, it's going to reward, and it's going to pay off. So just know that going into your future, what you put into it. If you knock yourself out to be successful, if you're a team player, you're ethical, show integrity. 8 months is all it took her to go from the customer service rep to the customer service manager, and she's knocked it out of the park ever since.
She's also a lot smarter than both Mike and I.
Yeah.
Smart. Okay.
Anybody else here have a question?
Joe, I have 4 questions.
Oh, you have some. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Hey, Brenna, unmute yourself. There she goes.
Hi, yeah, I was wondering at Atlantic, do you have any in-house maintenance or A&Ps, or do you outsource that to a separate maintenance shop?
We actually outsource. We don't have internal maintenance. We have a tenant, Advanced Aviation, that rents half of our hangar. They do all the maintenance, repair, overhaul work here for us. So we're required by the airport to operate, but we don't have it as Atlantic owned or operated. It's outsourced.
Atlantic does have a separate company called Flightcraft that does maintenance, and they're at a couple of our bases, but it's only probably 2 or 3. So Atlantic technically is in the aviation maintenance business, just not here in Reno.
question.
All right, thank you.
Brenda, where do you go to school and what are you studying?
I am currently a sophomore at Purdue University, studying aeronautical engineering technology and airport management and operations.
Perfect. Thank you. Sid, you're up.
Hi, so my question is for Ken.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna, Sid, mute out. We couldn't hear you. Sid's question, and Sid's from Truckee, by the way. What advice, this is for Jen, what advice would you give for young female pilots?
And get involved with some of the female aviation groups, like Women in Aviation, the 99s, because you'll just create natural mentors through those groups. Depending on your age, I work with some of the youth organizations, Young Eagles through EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association. And again, based on age, even get into gliders. A lot of the glider tow bases will offer flights and training if you help there in the summer. But the big thing is you want to just start reaching out and getting some mentors that are going to help you along your path. And we have 4 99 chapters in Reno, Sparks, and Tahoe. And then we have 1 Women in Aviation chapter. And I don't know if my contact information goes out to anybody, but you can always reach out to me. I run the local Women in Aviation group, and we'd love to get you in there and start partying you up with someone.
Thank you. Good job, Sid. Evan, jump on, buddy. Evan's at Davidson Academy in Reno.
I was just wondering, as businesses, how do you keep in mind longer term things like Boeing's forecasts when you're Boeing's forecasts when you're hiring during like a pandemic or a recession?
What was the question?
With Boeing's forecast, how do we like project like hiring and business?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a very difficult question to answer. As we all know, it's been a roller coaster ride lately. Our business is no different. We're just hitting the peaks and valleys right now. I would say we're getting close to pre-pandemic levels as far as our volume goes, but it still remains inconsistent. And I believe that's just due to the fact that people just aren't comfortable yet totally going out, even though our clientele obviously flies private. There's just maybe things aren't open, casinos still have the mask mandates. Depending on the weather, snow obviously can impact our volume greatly. When the skiing is great, we'll see those planes come in. Right now, we haven't seen snow in about a month now. So feedback just from flight crews and things of that nature is, people they're canceling their trips right now because the snow's not very good. So they don't want to, bother coming in for it right now. So, but next week that could change. If we get a snowstorm, well, guess what? They're all coming in. So it's a hard question to answer as far as where we see, the hiring trends going. I can tell you we've staffed up probably maybe about 6 positions now since the beginning of the pandemic to current day. We plan on it growing even further. I just don't think we're quite out of the woods yet, especially with the Omicron variant. I think once that settles down and all these other variants settle down and we return to some more normalcy, quote unquote, I think we'll really start to see the business evolve again. And I think a lot more people are going to start flying the private sector. So we're very optimistic that the future of private aviation is going to be very strong.
Great job, Evan. Great question. Hey, Joe, I have a few more questions if that's all right.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, Max, unmute yourself, ask your question, and let us know where you're at.
Hi, I'm Max. I am at Southern Utah University in Cedar City, Utah. I'm currently studying, I guess, just aviation in general. I'm working towards getting my CFII. I currently just have my private, though, working on instrument. I was just curious I forget your name, but the one who owns the flight school, how much your current CFIs are making on like a yearly basis. And just like, I guess, how you go about usually finding your CFI students.
That's a great question. So our CFIs at Great Basin, they start at 50, so anywhere between 50 to 65 an hour. And how I find them, so pre-pandemic, I got to the point I was headhunting because CFIs were getting their hours and heading off to the regional so quickly. And then it kind of turned into, I had too many people applying, so I started pushing people away. I'm back into, I want to see them grow organically through Great Basin Aviation. So we kind of set a path where they started their private pilot, finish their CFI, and then come on board here at Great Basin. They know our syllabus, they know our aircraft, they know our maintenance, and it just helps then transfer over into efficient flight training for the next group coming through. And then others, we go through an interview process of teaching a ground lesson, a flight lesson, and of course, a typical interview. I'm always looking for help. We just make sure we get the right help in here because we are a little more structured for being, I'm sure, Part 61 flight school. And we also are Part 141, but most of our students go through that 61 path, but structure is key. I don't know how I was going to finish that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Akira, you're up. Let us know where you're from.
Hello, my name is Akira Yasu, and I'm a senior at University of Nebraska at Kearney. I'm currently studying aviation system management and flight operational emphasis. So I am flying as a student pilot, and at the university, I'm also taking business courses. So I am interested in both flight operation side of aviation industry as well as business side of the aviation industry. So my question was, is there any position that works for both sides of aviation in your company?
What was it?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of the question? real quick?
Question.
Sorry. So is there like any position that work for both sides of the operation, like a business side and flight ops? Flight ops means like a flight school. Yes.
So basically you're saying, could you be a pilot and be in aviation management? Is that
Yes, that's correct.
There's every corporation that has a flight department has a chief pilot and someone who runs that flight department. So that type of position is available with most of those corporate flight departments. Also, a lot of business aviation is fractional companies where people can buy hours on aircraft to fly whenever they want. Biggest, of course, would be NetJets, FlexJet. There's a bunch of other ones out there, Wheels Up. And in those companies, I'm sure they have pilot roles that are also managing parts of the business. So there's definitely a role for a dual role opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Actually, I have one more question. So I'm originally from Japan, and I'm an international student here at UNK. And I was just wondering if your company accepts applications from international students like me, or is there any employee who's from like different country over the sea?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can accept applications.
So are you guys familiar with like OPT and H-1B visa and how this process?
The visa process.
Yeah, like a visa statement for employee.
Right. Yeah. And in that scenario, what we do is we get with our HR team that have the expertise in that, and they walk us through the steps it would take.
Okay.
Nice question. UNK has a lot of international students, so we get that question a lot. Jen, I think this next question is for you. Mary, unmute yourself. Well, she wants to know, what advice would you give someone trying to obtain a private pilot's certificate?
Best advice is stay focused. If you're going to start your private pilot or any rating or certificate, you've got to stick with it. The more you touch and go on it, the more it's going to cost you, the longer it's going to take you. Private pilot gets started on your ground school ahead of time. You can even have that done by the time you start your private pilot. Look for scholarships. And like I told Sid, look for groups that are out there that can help mentor you through the process. But staying organized and knowing your requirements, getting going on your ground school are the best ways to get started on private pilot. And interview flight schools, do your due diligence, go out there and see all the different schools, what type of aircraft they're flying, look at the cost, you know, just make sure that what you're putting your investment into, you're gonna get what you want out of it.
Great answer. And this last question also comes from Vegas. Stephanie, this is a question that's asked a lot of us, so I hope you guys can answer it. But Stephanie, why don't you unmute yourself and ask the question?
Hello, my name is Stephanie. I am a junior in high school, currently finishing off my ground school. My question is, do you have any advice when it comes to becoming a military pilot versus a commercial? And if it is possible to switch?
Thanks to you, Jen.
Oh, that is a great question. So I'll answer the second part first. There is opportunity to switch. So through the military, you will earn a lot of your civilian equivalents. So like your private pilot, your instrument, your commercial, your molting engine, and they'll easily transition into the civilian side. I'm just this is my opinion. I think going the military path is awesome. You get to fly cool stuff. Even the P3 is pretty cool, despite what some people might think, but there's some great aircraft out there. You learn the structure, you learn how to work under pressure, all things that'll help you when you go off into a career in the airlines. It's also, you're being paid to learn how to fly. So it's a path that you can take if the financial side of flight training is just not there for you yet. But I think the military path is a great way to go. Through our school, we've had 3 students or Navy pilot spots. 2 are at training right now. 1 is shipping out in September. And then we've also had 6 Nevada Air Guard pilots board through our school. I should say through our school, but we help them get their private pilot. I think it's a very honorable path, but you do have a commitment with it, but you will get those equivalencies. So when you get out of the military, you can easily transition into a civilian career.
And to touch on that, I know through a lot of my friends that went the military route, they were able to bypass regionals and go straight to the majors. A very, very big part of obviously going military as well, that you can forgo the regional airlines, and the majority of the times they have the opportunity to go straight into your American, Southwest, JetBlues, Uniteds, you name it. So that's another great opportunity with military.
Thank you.
Wow, great answers. Joe, back to you.
So I wanted to add one thing to the question about, because of the COVID, is there any difference in hiring and looking forward to the amount of people needed? So I'll just tell you from experience, I've been in the airline industry for 40 years and aviation for close to 50. And the aviation industry is basically up and down. So even if the economy did not have COVID, there would be times when there was a lot of hiring, and there would be times when there's very little hiring. That's just the way the aviation industry goes. So I just wanted to put that out there to you. The COVID was kind of a monkey wrench there that really threw everybody, but it's going to come back to what it was before. So the idea here is, Pete, that you're going to take over the show for a few minutes, and I'm going to walk out with these great people out into the hangar, and I'm going to turn on my phone, and we're going to try to get a tour of the hangar so that everybody could see it. And then we're going to come back here in this room, and we're going to give away a few scholarships.
So Joe, if you can try it with your phone to enter the Zoom call.
Yeah, I can, but it's going to give you a lot of feedback. So
That's okay. Walk out of the room and let's give this a shot, because I would hate to prevent anybody from seeing the tour. If it doesn't work out, we have a plan B. If you're currently on the call, just be patient as Joe sets up. I know it's going to work. Thank you for your questions. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. If you know how our workshops work, we follow a strict schedule and we're just like 1 minute off our schedule. So I appreciate the patience and sorry if we didn't get to your questions. I'm currently waiting. Okay, there is Joe. Let's see if this works. Where is he?
He's listed as iPhone.
I know, I see him. I can't see. Let's see.
All right, I'm gonna turn the video. You may not be able to hear me, but you're gonna be able to see the airplanes.
There you go. Can everybody see him?
Can you hear me, Pete?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is what a large FBO hangar looks like. You'll probably notice right away how clean it is.
Absolutely.
How white the floor is. There's no dirt. The people that have these very expensive multi-million-dollar airplanes want them kept the best possible condition. So,
right. So this hangar here, we have 3 in Reno. This is our main hangar. This hangar is 27,500 square feet. We're currently
and be very careful of anything around the wings.
I'll stand here then.
And then this here is another one of our tenants. This is a Citation Excel, well-used aircraft. They fly almost every day. And once we come around the corner here, I'll give you more of an overview of this hangar right now isn't even full. We have 2 tenants that are currently out. So as we are talking about an LST's role and the towing requirements, and that's why they go through a rigorous certification process, is because you're going to notice how close these aircraft are together to make them all fit. Again, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of concentration, a lot of teamwork to make them all fit with the proper amount of spacing. As Joe alluded to here, you're going to focus here on this, the one he's got right there. It's the Falcon 900. And if he pans to the left, you'll see Challenger 300.
Get the number.
Okay. And you'll notice where you can see the wings. Again, this is totally within limits. But you can see they got to really thread the needle. If you look at my arm, for an example,
that's pretty close.
Yeah, it can get a little bit closer, but you know, this is our comfort zone.
And then this wing
again,
is
you
pretty
can see
close to that fuselage right there.
Bingo, exactly.
Just enough room to walk through.
So we always require that the tow has 2 wing walkers, 1 on each wing. They're required to have a whistle on them. So when they're moving them, they're all seeing each other. They're all in view of each other. And when they get close to where it's enough, they blow the whistle. It lets the tow driver know, okay, I got to stop now. And then if they need to get a little closer, if they want to do that, then they can discuss the tow, and at least the driver knows, hey, I can go back another few inches, feel confident in what he's doing because he can see it and he knows he's got a good team that's watches back to make sure nothing gets damaged.
Just notice the size of this hangar.
Yes.
And how many airplanes it could fit. And these people fly in and out, and the people that work here are responsible for putting the airplanes in and out on a moment's notice.
Exactly.
So here's our team today. Here's all our people that have come to our event live.
Very fun to see.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this is the largest of the 3 hangars that we have. And this hangar is heated and cooled, obviously, in the summer. So that's why you feel it's a little warm in here. So obviously, when the doors open, the heat will shut off. And then once they close, the heat will kick back on again. And it doesn't take too long, actually, to get back up to temp again. You'd be quite surprised with the size of this hangar, how quickly and efficiently it will heat up.
You guys see like how you were saying about the tight spaces?
Mhm.
Very tight.
Yes.
Is this one pilot?
This is two. Yep. Yeah, all of these are two. And the Pilatus that you see right there is what this one is, the white and red one. That can actually be flown with one pilot.
Guess that's enough.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, I guess we will head back in and start talking about the scholarships.
Why don't you show them, if you can, as you walk back in, show them the lobby of the FBO to show everybody what an FBO looks like, the registration desk, all that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
let's do
walk
that.
by it.
All right.
We should have Kaylin come and tell us what we're looking at.
Go out that door we came in here. Take them around back. And as you can see, there's a lot of cabinets and things of that nature. This is where a lot of their supplies are to maintain the aircraft. So we got stands for the aircraft, jacks in case they got to do a tire change, anything like that. They have
Tools.
oxygen in case they replenish their oxygen tanks, things of that nature. So they could get a lot of just their regular routine maintenance done in here versus having to send the aircraft out to a secondary provider. So coming through, this is the pilot lounge. So as you can see, we have comfortable recliners. There's a restroom, and they're locked right now, but there's actually 2 sleeping rooms. There's a full-size bed and a room. So if the pilots are here for a while and they want to take a quick siesta or even longer, we obviously have the sheets cleaned every single day. We have a key that we'll offer the crew, and pilot can go ahead and take a snooze for a little while. Flight planning area here where they can do all their pre-flights, print out whatever they need to print out, and take care of business before they head out for their flights. And then this is obviously just the wide view. This is just the full lobby area here. So just a place for crew and passengers that are waiting or just coming off their aircraft and come in. Again, hang out, watch TV. We'll usually have the fire going, but it's kind of quiet right now. And obviously our CSR front desk. And
There's
then
the front desk and
to
some
the right here, you'll see
refreshments and
a lot of
snacks.
refreshments. We have all types of different snacks. In the coolers here, there's sandwiches, just all sorts of ice cream snacks, things of that nature, all sodas, Gatorades, milk, things of that nature. Just everything that maybe if a crew is hungry, obviously they want to eat, passengers want to grab something before they go. They don't have to say, oh, I forgot to get something before I came here or anything like that. We've got a plethora of options for them to eat while they're here. And we also offer complimentary coffee, tea, hot chocolate. We normally have the popcorn machine going. However, right now, due to the current COVID restrictions, things of that nature, they don't want us using that at this time. But normally we always have fresh popcorn going as well.
Cool. All right, Pete, we're going to head back in and let Tom take over.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe.
Okay, let's all go back into the big room.
All right, as everybody is assembling in the room, I have a few things I'm going to share before Tom gets up and makes an announcement. We're doing this again in May. The date is May 4th. The workshop will be hosted up at Truckee Tahoe Airport, Mountain Lion Aviation, Sierra Aero, and there will be others involved in the workshop. it's going to allow more people to attend, which is kind of cool. But set your calendar for May 4. The event is already loaded into our website. So if you're interested in RSVPing and participating either in person or online, sign up today. And then when you look on the calendar at that event, you'll see our next workshops or our office hours taking place this month, March and April. So be sure to sign up for those. And those sessions are just there to ask questions about if you need help with your resume, if you want to learn how to network, if you want to know how to interview. You know, Mike talked about confidence. He talked about researching the company. Those are some huge gems that if you don't take advantage of those, you're one step behind everybody else. So we help you get to that spot where your confidence level is so high, it's not overly confident, but you're prepared for anything that may come in your way. So with that, Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you to make a big announcement.
All right, thanks, Pete. Pete, you did a wonderful job today, and I want to express my appreciation to your 8 students that came today and the staff here that all presented very well. I want to just say a little bit about me in the sense we have just a few minutes, but my dad was the captain for Western Airlines. Flew out of LAX, that's a long time ago. But when I got out of college at UNR in 1965, I decided I wanted to get my pilot's license. I didn't quite know what I was going to do with it. When I went to Minden, there was an ag aviation academy. They taught fixed wings and rotorcraft. And so I got my license, and then I was a contractor for a couple of years, and I went to law school, and now I'm a lawyer. But it turns out that a bunch of my clients are pilots. And so when I'm talking to my clients about their business, they're saying, how's your plane going and this and that. And so the point I'm making is I didn't know where my pilot's license would take me, but it was something I wanted to do. And so I got it in 32 hours, accelerated program from first flight to license. And I own an airplane, a Bonanza, and I fly to Mexico and to Canada and all around the West Coast. So it turned out to be quite business oriented. I'm a water rights attorney, and I've had water cases in Wendover, Tonopah, Bonach, you know. And so when I say I'll come out and take a look, you know, these clients are saying, wow, that's fantastic. You'll come out here and take a look at my water situation. And so it's been a tool that I've used, and I didn't know it when I started, but I know a lot of you are in computer science and stuff like that, and I would say, don't stop your thinking about being a pilot if you want to, you know, go there. And so I don't know, this is a little bit about me. I don't want to bore you to death. It would be a nice story. But anyway, so today we want to talk about scholarships, and we're going to have 4 of these presentations like today. And we'll solicit people that want to be awarded a scholarship. And so this time we got 22 people that applied. And we rated them from a 10, which was very high, to 1, which is lower. And so we have the 22 people that applied, and we had a meeting Monday night and graded everyone and gave something. But I also want to say we had to raise some money for the scholarship. So I want to thank Jen for the contribution you made for our scholarship fund.
Thank you, Jen.
And, I said nothing moves without money. So, and then I have an investment company. I call it Hall Bonanza Investments. And I own 2 hangars instead. And I made a contribution from Hall Bonanza. So we have $2,000 to give. So it's not nice. So anyway, so we have $2,000 to give. We had 22 applicants, and we decided to give 4 scholarships. So that's $500 each. And each of the applicants had some story about what they wanted to do, whether it was going to flight school or pursuing college and whatever. And so when we announce them, we'll follow up with the recipients and determine the best way. We can send the check to their school, their college, their flight program, more to Jan, whatever happens, get it back to you. So, so anyway, so here's the 4
people that have won a scholarship of $500 for this time, and there'll be future opportunities. You know, we'll probably spread it around like they said. They say spread it around like fertilizer. Things grow when you sprinkle around, and money is kind of like fertilizer. It makes things grow. So the first one we have is Evan Lim. And I don't know if he's online, Evan, but there he is. I see him right in his hand. Good, Evan. He was a very qualified candidate. Next person is Lucas Turner. Is Lucas online today? I don't, Peter's got waving. All right, so.
Lucas is here. All four are here.
Okay. Congratulations, Lucas, for your work. Akira is the next one, Akira Yasu. And if she's there, stand up and wave. She's on top right, it looks like, from our video here, camera. So that's good. Congratulations again to Akira. And Cambria is the last one. Cambria, is Cambria online somewhere? Wave and yell, stand up. All right. Well, I want to congratulate all of the recipients. We'll get checks out once we get the formula where to send it and who to send it to. But I want to again congratulate all of you people and all the recipients, because they did a great job. That's about it. I'll turn it back to Joe, and Joe can turn it to Pete, or wherever it goes from now. And I want to say again, thank you so much for coming out tonight. It's just special.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I wanted to thank our 8 students who decided to show up tonight and listen in. I hope you got something out of it. You got to see what an FBO is. Have any of you been here before? Did you know what this place was before you came here?
Not really, just packed life, but that was all.
Well,
Always
I hope
wondered.
I hope it's made an impression on you, and feel free to come back and have some coffee and watch what goes on here.
Absolutely.
Pete, did you have any final questions from any of the people on the Zoom call?
Joe, I think we're set. So why don't you just replicate Eric and we'll be good.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll see you in 3 months when we give away another scholarship or 2. And for now, we are out in 3, 2, 1. Bye all.
Thanks, everybody. Nice job.